Hi everyone, I'm Jonna Gerken, the FY18 Society of Women Engineers President. We're here today to talk about strategic planning and how it impacts the way our society functions.
Hi, I'm Alexis McKittrick, and I'm the FY17 Strategic Planning Committee Chair for SWE.
So Alexis, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
We talk a lot about strategic planning, but not everyone really understands what it's about. Can you tell us a little about what the process is and how it impacts the way our society works?
Sure. So our annual strategic planning process does a couple of things for the society. First of all, it examines the programs and services that the society has and how well they're doing, how well they're serving our members and SWE at large. And then it also looks at if there's any gaps that need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm. Can you give an example?
Sure. There are gaps in member segments that are often identified, such as the gap in programming, the deficit in programming that was identified for graduate students a few years ago. Also, there can be gaps identified in certain strategic goals or strategic objectives that aren't being served and programs that are needed to fill those goals, such as implementation of the We Local conferences, as well as the SWE magazine refresh was another example of that.
Great points. So what if we have a program that isn't actually in the strategic plan or doesn't match to any of our goals?
So there's a couple different things that we can do with that. It kind of falls into two buckets. One is we can look at that program or service and see if additional investment or study or retooling would help kind of get it in the direction where it'd be more helpful to the society. The other option, the other bucket, is of course to discontinue or sunset the program. Right.
Have we had to do that recently?
Yes, there's actually a couple times we've had to do that. So one example is the SWE email aliases that a lot of folks had used for a long time. So those actually weren't serving any of the strategic goals or objectives that are outlined in our strategic plan, and they were using a lot of resources from headquarters. And honestly, they weren't increasing value to our members because that's a service that is provided by basically every major email provider now. Another example, if I can add one more, is the My SWE communities. So those are what was a really great idea for an online discussion forum where SWE members could go in, sign up for kind of individual communities and make sure that they were up on the SWE activities that were most important to them. Ultimately, we noticed that there was a big issue with usability, and so we weren't able to implement that program like we had hoped. Those are now being phased out, and they're being replaced with the very transparent and open websites, such as senate.swe.org and governance.swe.org.
Right, which I hope everyone's had a chance to look at, because there's really a lot of great information on these new websites and platforms, rather than having to search around or find them through another channel. So they're really very helpful. So Alexis, I mean, strategic planning really sounds like it's become a much bigger and more important part of our SWE process in general.
Absolutely. So as the society has, of course, grown a lot recently, and our impact on our members and the world around us continues to grow, our strategic plan continues to increase in importance. And so we really try hard and value doing our annual strategic planning process. We do this kind of in an iterative fashion, and we are constantly reviewing it to ensure that the strategic goals within our strategic plan, the strategic objectives, are being reviewed, and that those are rolling into the operational plan for SWE and ensuring that the tactical side of strategic is getting implemented as well. Right. And honestly, our environment is changing so much, SWE really is focusing more and more on kind of strategically what's important to them, and strategic thinking is becoming a really valued skill for our members.
Right, great point. The nominating committee really is looking at that much more systematically now to ensure that not only is the society moving forward to meeting the plan, that the folks that we're putting in the leadership positions, board members, trustees, Senate leadership, people like that, are really competent in strategic thinking and strategic planning, which in the past hasn't necessarily been as much of a focus as it is now. So we also do recognize, based on these strategic goals, that we do have several competencies that are necessary in order to lead our society. So it's been really important that all of our future leaders and our current leaders are aware of these different competencies that we have now.
Can you talk a little bit about what the different competencies within the current model that's being used are?
Oh, sure. The competencies do focus on 5 key areas: communication, self-management and development, business acumen, coaching, mentoring and sponsorship, and leadership abilities. They include important skills like project management, visionary leadership, which includes strategic thinking, and the ability to collaborate effectively with others. And we are very fortunate that we had one of our SWE staff members who was very involved in creating this competency model, so that we made sure we cover all the major areas that are necessary for our leaders.
That's fantastic. But honestly, it sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot of different things to concentrate on. Before they move on to SWE leadership, do members need to have all of those boxes checked?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The expectation is that our leadership body as a whole exhibit all these competencies, so that we have a balanced set of, whether it's the board of directors, the board of trustees, that those are more balanced. So we really want to make sure that that body has all the competencies. We don't expect any one person to excel in any one of them, which would be unrealistic for our organization.
Great. And that ties into helping make sure that we are diverse as a body, and really feeds into our strategic plan to make sure that we have all viewpoints respected and included in that process.
Absolutely, because some of the parts is much greater than anything we could do individually. So having all of our experiences together, including that diverse background and perspective, really is what makes us a great organization. That does bring up an important point, though, too, that I've been asked in the past, what do I hope to get out of my SWE presidency? And it's interesting because I do laugh and say, well, it's really an easy answer, because I have a perfect strategic plan to go after and really to focus on. So I just want to make sure we make progress. The other point that I wanted to make, and I know that this has come up in the past, is people have asked me, what do I want to get out of my term as SWE president? Which is really an awesome question. And it's an easy answer really now. With this process, the answer is so easy. It's, I want to move the strategic plan forward. Really, a roadmap is there. We just need to figure out how to get there, and by the strength of our members and our process, we can certainly make strides to our ultimate goals sooner rather than later.
That sounds like a great vision to me.
Great. Thanks, Alexis, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to contact Alexis or her team.
Thanks, Jess. Feel free to email me with any other questions about the strategic planning process. Thanks again for watching.